Hey guys, welcome back to On Track GP. It's time for a roundup of yesterday and today's practice sessions and qualifying ahead of tomorrow's Zandvoort Grand Prix. First practice saw McLaren's Lando Norris headed Red Bull's Max Verstappen in a first practice session at the Dutch Grand Prix that started in wet and wild conditions and ended under blue skies. A blustery wind gusting up to more than 70 km an hour continued throughout the session, but the track, wet at the start, was dry by the end of the hour. Norris was 0.201 seconds faster than Verstappen, with Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton third fastest, 0.684 seconds off the pace, his fastest lap time affected by traffic. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz on medium compound tyres rather than the soft compound of those ahead of him was fourth. Second practice then gave us Mercedes' George Russell going fastest from McLaren's Oscar Piastri. George Russell set the pace as McLaren and Mercedes both headed Red Bull's Max Verstappen at the end of the practice. The Mercedes driver was 0.061 seconds faster than McLaren's Oscar Piastri, with teammate Lewis Hamilton third, 0.111 seconds off the pace, and then the second McLaren of Lando Norris was fourth. Championship leader Verstappen was only fifth fastest, 0.284 seconds behind, and then teammate Sergio Perez was way down in 11th. Fernando Alonso was sixth fastest, ahead of RB's Yuki Tsunoda, while Haas driver Kevin Magnussen, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, and Williams' Alex Albon completed the top 10. The final practice session, well, buckle up because this was a bit hectic. We kicked off with a soggy Zandvoort circuit reminiscent of yesterday's rain-affected sessions. Drivers cautiously vented out on full wets, with Oscar Piastri breaking the ice on intermediates. Nico Hülkenberg's tough weekend continued. After yesterday's crashes, he damaged his front wing early on. Luckily, it was the old spec, not their shiny new upgrade. But the real drama came 14 minutes in. Logan Sargent lost control on wet grass, spinning into the barriers. It was a heavy impact that briefly set his Williams ablaze. Thankfully, Logan walked away and was cleared by medical staff. The crash brought out the red flag for a whopping 40 minutes as crews repaired the barriers. Talk about pressure. When the session finally resumed, we had just 2 minutes left on the clock. Chaos ensued straight afterwards as drivers scrambled to set times. Pierre Gasly played it smart, finding a clear track to set the fastest time. K-Mag and Valtteri Bottas rounded out an unexpected top three. Many big names, including Sergio Perez, couldn't even start a flying lap in time. It was really hectic. Even Max Verstappen got caught up in the rush, receiving a warning for crossing the pit exit line while trying to pass George Russell. What did that mean for qualifying? Honestly, not much. The disruptive session and last-minute dash make these times pretty unrepresentative. The real action was still to come. Would Red Bull dominate as expected? Can McLaren continue their strong form? And how will the home crowd react if Max takes pole? So, straight into Q1, the first qualifying session began under dry conditions despite a 40% chance of rain predicted by race control. Most drivers took to the track on new soft tyres, which they hadn't had the opportunity to use in the final practice due to the earlier wet conditions. Logan Sargent was unable to participate due to his crash in qualifying despite the Williams mechanic's best efforts to repair his car. This meant he would automatically start from the back of the grid for tomorrow's race. Lewis Hamilton set the early pace with a time of 1:11.375, narrowly beating Lando Norris by just 0.02 of a second. Max Verstappen slotted into third place between the McLaren drivers, while Pierre Gasly impressed by putting his Alpine in the top 5 after the initial runs. An incident between Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton at turn 9 led to Perez abandoning his hot lap and expressing his frustration. The stewards announced they would investigate the incident after the qualifying session concluded. As the session neared its end, several drivers were at risk of elimination. While Yuki Tsunoda managed to secure a safe position in 12th, his teammate Danny Ricciardo narrowly missed the cut. Both Sauber drivers failed to improve sufficiently and were eliminated, along with Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, who finished 17th. Moving into Q2, and as Q2 began, the sky was darkening but remained dry. Ferrari's drivers Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were the first on track, setting initial times on used soft tyres, with Leclerc going faster. The McLaren duo of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris quickly took control of the session on fresh soft tyres, with Norris edging out his teammate by a mere 0.09 of a second. George Russell's Mercedes came close with 0.06 of a second off the McLarens, while Max Verstappen in the Red Bull could only manage fourth, over 0.3 behind. After the initial run, Sainz found himself in a precarious 10th position, likely needing to improve to secure a Q3 spot. The bottom 5 at this point were K-Mag, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, Nico Hülkenberg and Alexander Albon. In a dramatic turn of events, Albon secured an impressive 7th place for the Williams in his final attempt, while Gasly also made it into the top 10. This resulted in 2 unexpected eliminations, Sainz in 11th and Lewis Hamilton in 12th. Neither Haas driver could improve enough to threaten the top 10, with Hulkenberg 14th and Magnussen 15th. Tsunoda was also eliminated in 13th. The session proved incredibly tight, with less than 0.4 of a second separating Norris's fastest time from Fernando Alonso in 10th. In total, the entire field of 15 cars was covered by just 0.8 of a second. Finally, on to Q3, and the anticipated rain did not materialise. McLaren's drivers and Verstappen had fresh, soft tyres for their first runs, having saved a set from Q2. Oscar Piastri set the initial benchmark with a 1:10.193, with Max Verstappen narrowly missing out by 0.03 of a second. Lando Norris showcased McLaren's pace by taking provisional pole with a 1:10.074, over a tenth faster than his teammate. George Russell secured 4th place, while Charles Leclerc on USoft managed 5th. Aston Martin opted for a different strategy, waiting until the track was clear to send out their drivers for their sole attempts. Fernando Alonso's single run put him provisionally 5th, with the Spanish driver stating, "I cannot do more than this," after his lap. In the final moments, Verstappen improved significantly to briefly claim the top spot with a 1:10.029. However, the home crowd's excitement was short-lived as Norris crossed the line with a time over 0.3 of a second quicker than the championship leader. Piastri, the last to complete his lap, improved but couldn't secure a front row start. The session concluded with Norris claiming a historic pole position, becoming the first driver other than Verstappen to do so at the modern Zandvoort circuit when it returned in 2021. Verstappen will start second, followed by Piastri, Russell, Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. The top 10 was completed by Alonso, Alexander Albon, Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly, setting the stage for a fantastically exciting Dutch Grand Prix. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, McLaren's pace. They've brought their first major upgrade since Miami, and boy is it working. While it might not be as dramatic as the Miami package that catapulted them to the front, it's clearly given them a significant boost. Looking ahead to the race, Norris has made it clear he's gunning for that second win. With Verstappen 78 points ahead in the championship, every point counts if Lando wants to beat him in this title challenge. So, what can we expect for tomorrow's race? Will Norris convert his pole to victory? Can Verstappen fight back on home soil? And will Hamilton be able to slice through the field from an underwhelming 12th place? One thing's for sure, with changeable weather conditions forecast and a grid full of hungry drivers, we're in for an absolute thriller. Also, will Alex Albon even be allowed to take part in the race? We'll soon find out. So, my predictions from yesterday have aged badly, but you never know. In all honesty, based on form, I can see Max stealing another win here and keeping the McLarens at bay, but I can definitely see Sergio and George getting involved also. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more F1 content, and let us know in the comments, who do you think will win tomorrow's Dutch Grand Prix? Keep the pedal to the metal, and I'll see you at the checkered flag.